Porky's Corner is proud to be sponsored by Spartan Site Solutions. They are specialists in civil engineering and demolition contracts for the construction industry. Interested parties should visit their website or contact Porky's Corner for a referral at porkycorner@mail.com.
We're joined by Adam. How are you doing, Adam?
Hello, sir. The King of Yorkshire. How are you getting on, Russ?
I'm all right. How are you?
Keeping well, lad. Keeping well. Nice weekend. You enjoy the boxing?
Yeah, did you?
Yeah, no, it was a good card, definitely. Overall, no doubt about it. Where do you want to get started, mate?
We'll get started with Willie Hutchinson and Lennox, wasn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, before the card kicked off, obviously you and I were texting, so I had Richards, Ball.
Sorry, Richards.
Yeah. No, I knew what you meant. I had Richards to win that fight. But I thought Hutchinson. Now, to be fair, I only got on, I think, start of the second round or endlessly. I'm not too sure. But Hutchinson boxed very, very well. I thought that Richards and Ray Ford in the Ball fight, I thought they had the same problem, where I know it's a well simple way of putting it, but neither guy, neither Ford or Richards, I don't think threw enough, given the matchup they were in with. Like, you looked at Hutchinson, he just kept active. And again, I know it's very, very simple, but that style where you're efficient with your punching, it's all well and good until you come up against a volume puncher. Now, obviously, if you are the guy that punches less and you have knockout power, you can kind of erase that disadvantage. But I thought, I thought Richards just got outworked, and I thought when it kind of got past 6, 7, 8, obviously gas tanks start to leak, and it was just harder for him as the fight went on to get back in. But I thought Hutchinson boxed very well, so fair play to him. Good one, very good one.
What do you see for Hutchinson now, Adam?
I'm not 100% sure, if I'm honest. In terms of, I know they haven't made any announcements yet. Obviously, they're going to do the 5v5 again. I don't know if there's going to be any overflow of fighters coming across. But I mean, it sets them up well. But at the same kind of time, it puts Richards back. Like, obviously, when Bivol beat Canelo, a lot of people fancied Canelo to beat Bivol because they saw the performance he had against Craig Richards. And then after Bivol kind of handled Canelo, a lot of people look back at that Spider fight and they thought he kind of put up a better showing than a lot of people thought he was capable of. But obviously, it's a difficult loss for him to take. So yeah, mate, we'll see how it goes for both men, but definitely a good platform for Hutchinson to kind of take off.
Where do you see Richards going now?
Same kind of problem, mate. I mean, is it back to domestic level? and kind of trying to build back up. I'm not sure off the top of my head. I'll Google it here. I'm not sure what age Richards is.
Craig Richards, sorry, I get them all mixed up. They're all similar names, aren't they? Like Lennox Clark, is it?
They are.
It's Craig Richards. It's Craig Richards, isn't it? That's
Yeah.
Ross
Yeah.
Hutchinson. Get them mixed up.
No, you're good, mate. Yeah, Craig
Spider, innit? They call him Spider.
Spider, absolutely. He's 34 now. I thought he was a wee bit younger, you know.
Knocking on a bit now, and he had too much bigger for him, didn't he, Willie Hutchinson?
He did. Oh, he did, absolutely. And again, if you're a guy that doesn't throw that many shots and you do have a big shot, a big backhand, whatever, again, you can kind of you can equalize that. I kind of thought Ray Ford did that. I thought he looked kind of he looked well off the pace against Ball, but then he landed that big shot in the sixth. But if you don't have finishing power, it's kind of hard. And again, as the fight's kind of getting away from you. I don't know, does Dan Aziz have anything scheduled yet? Obviously, I know he's on the comeback trail as well. That'll be a decent domestic fight. Maybe him and Richards. I was going to kind of bring Anthony Yard into the discussion as well for Richards or Hutchinson. But the fact that Yard and Frank Warren are kind of falling out at the minute, that's probably going to shit can Yard indefinitely with Queensberry. But no, I mean, look, Hutchinson has options. Obviously, Richards has less options, but there still are definitely some domestic fights out there. If we're just talking about light heavyweight, I actually saw today, Boatsi, was it Boatsi and Hutchinson? The WBA announced, because Yard fell out of that fight. Let me pull it up here. They basically announced that there's going to be a fight, I think, for the WBA interim belt, and it's between Boatsi and it might be Hutchinson, but let me just double check. But either way, decent fight. Obviously, first one on the card. Obviously, it wasn't a barn burner, but I thought Hutchinson kind of took care of business quite comfortably. So again, fair play to him. Oh, sorry, it is. Yeah, WBO approved Boatsi and Hutchinson as interim title fight after Yard deadline passes. So Queensberry moved quickly to capitalise on Willie Hutchinson's impressive victory over Craig Richards. So within 24 hours, the WBO set up that as their interim title fight. So I would say that's probably where Hutchinson's going to go next, mate. You know?
What about Hutchinson against Yard?
I think that would be a much more exciting fight than Boatsi. Obviously, styles make fights. We know that and we see it every day. But I just think the fact now that Yard and Queensberry are in a lawsuit, I'd be very, very surprised if a hatchet gets buried anytime soon. Obviously, we don't know all the details of what's going on, but
Tundi's knee deep in it, any illegal stuff with Bricktop.
Yeah. And you know, Frank Warren, less so than Eddie Hearn, but like for Frank Warren's old school, do you know what I mean? So
got lawyers on tap on retainers. It's note to file letters off. It's standard procedure with Bricktop when they break code, when they don't want to play ball with him.
Yeah, no, completely.
Ricky Burns.
Yeah, no. Obviously, look, we've seen it in the past. But I don't know. I would like. I know. Look, I don't think he's elite level. I would like to see Yard active. Like I've said, kind of previously on here before. I don't think he's I don't think he's elite level, but I do think he has a fun fighting style and he generally makes for a good fight. So I hope whatever the problems are, they can kind of get them ironed out semi quickly and get Yard back going again. Because there's definitely a good few domestic fights in there. You know, yeah, Hutchinson being top of the pile, that'd be a good matchup. Boxer against puncher. So I definitely like to see it, but I don't think we'll see Hutchinson Yard anytime soon, Paul.
What about Hutchinson against Boatsi? You know.
Yeah. I mean, that would probably suit all parties. I mean, Frank Warren and Ben Shalom haven't, at least it seems like they haven't had any big public falling outs, at least like they have had with Matchroom, you know, obviously Hearn and Frank Smith digging them out the whole time. So I feel like that Boatsi Hutchinson fight will probably be much easier to make.
Well, they think they can get that Sky deal, don't they, as well as DAZN and that best of both, don't they?
Absolutely. And I would say too, like I said, I don't know if you'll see Hutchinson on the next 5 versus 5, but I would say Ben Shalom and Boxer over at Sky, I'd say they're looking for any way at all that they can kind of dip their toes into that Saudi pool and that Saudi money. So I would doubt if they would have any problems, man, making that fight. But the WBO ordered it as the interim title. And I think kind of everybody wins, both fighters. So yeah. It'd be a decent fight, absolutely. I don't know if it would be that exciting. I think it might be similar to the last night, you know, Boatsi versus Hutchinson, boxer versus boxer, but it would definitely be a good chess match. So yeah, I'd get behind it.
You won't put it past Frank Smith having his breakaway stable and doing a deal with Sky for himself. I mean, anything goes. It's the wild, wild west, isn't it, Adam?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the British scene has kind of calmed down. Not calmed down, but I'm saying in terms of like free agents and people fighting or promoters like arguing over fighters and trying to sign people, I think that's all kind of cooled down because of the Saudi involvement. Like obviously Hearn and Warren have their priorities over in Saudi now. But it's still the wild, wild west, and it will be whenever Turkey and the whole circus pack up and get out of town. So I'd say we'll get back to normal bickering whenever that happens, man.
So Willie Hutchinson, he'll get his title shot soon, and then when them belts get split up.
He will. I mean, it could be. So what Beterbiev and Bivol are fighting now. It's announced they're going to fight in October.
Oh, they'd eat him up.
And I agree. Or sorry, yeah, October. Yeah. No, I agree. But you would think so. All the belts are going to be tied up until that happens. I still have Beterbiev winning, not especially. I thought Bivol, maybe it was change of opponent, yeah, a couple of weeks out and stuff. I thought Bivol didn't look his usual self. Obviously, look, he got the stoppage and he got it done. But I still have Beterbiev beaten Bivol if that fight goes ahead in October. But I do think he'll probably retire Beterbiev after that, and I think the belts will get scattered. So then you'll have either Boatsi or Hutchinson as a mandatory for the WBA. Not that really means anything. We've seen it through the years where people are mandatory for years, but yeah, those belts will break up soon, absolutely. But I wouldn't see Bivol as a good matchup for either Boatsi or Hutchinson. Even though I didn't think he was great the last night, but it'd be good to see that division get a shake up, you know, because obviously, look, it's Beterbiev and Bivol. A lot of people have them in their top 10 pound for pound, you know, high up. But I think the division could do with a freshening up, some new faces. There's a lot of domestic British guys in there as well that can potentially win the belts. So a shake up would definitely be good, mate.
What did you think to Bivol's performance?
Like I said, obviously change of opponent. I mean, I'm not comparing Zanad to Beterbiev. You know, they're just classes apart with respect. But Zanad's kind of game plan was to let loose with that right hand. Or sorry, with his backhand. He was trying to set it up all night. You know, he was apparently a power puncher. But yeah, I don't know. I thought Bivol looked human. For the first couple of rounds, like I said, I know he got the stoppage, but he was getting hit a lot with that jab. Against kind of like a fringe top 10. You know, in the division. But he's always kind of got. The reason I'm kind of doubling down on Beterbiev is if you kind of go through all of Bivol's recent victories. I know he hasn't had a stoppage in 9 fights before the last night, but even Richards was kind of touching him up with that jab as well. And if, you know, the likes of Zinad and Richards and stuff are kind of popping you with that jab, I kind of hasten to think what Beterbiev would do. So yeah, I think Beterbiev stops Bivol if the fight does go ahead in October. But yeah, look, it was a grand performance from Bivol. Nothing special. He wasn't terrible either. Obviously, look, he's a brilliant boxer. I'm not saying he's washed up or anything like that. I just thought
Beterbiev's on to kill though, isn't he?
I think so, man. Like I think something. I don't think, and maybe it's less so now, but I don't think people even to this day give Beterbiev as much respect as they should as a boxer. His ring IQ is unbelievable. Um, and I think, you know, the fight's kind of being sold as Bivol, this brilliant boxer, against Beterbiev, this, you know, kind of one punch destroyer. But I think Beterbiev's a much better boxer than the casuals would give him credit for. I don't think he's a one punch merchant. Or sorry, I don't think he's only a big puncher. And I just don't see how Bivol stays off him for 12 rounds. I just don't see it. So
What do you think to Bricktop and the Bob Farber and Eddie Hills, all chummy, you know, out there in Saudi? It's all landed on the laps, hasn't it?
it has. I don't buy into it too much. In terms of, I still maintain that we'll get back to like the handbags and the barbs and stuff. Like let's just hypothetically, let's pretend the Saudi money disappears tomorrow morning. It's gone. Circus leaves town. And Warren and Hearns move back to the UK and everything's based back there. I think we would get straight back into the, you know, the IFL interviews, boys digging each other out, and this lad's purr and this person's purr and all the rest. I think it's all about money. Obviously. But it's not surprising. Look, we've seen this forever. You know, money talks, especially in combat sports. And you know, if either Bricktop or Hills didn't, if either of them weren't doing what they're doing now, it would be cutting off their nose to spite their face. You know, then you're kind of putting a price on how much is your pride worth. But even still, I think they would be foolish not to play ball with Turkey. Obviously, I think the whole His Excellency every time is way over the top, but they're doing what they have to do to make a boatload of money. So it is what it is, man. Unsurprising.
Yeah, I think Beterbiev just runs over any of them now in that division. I just think he's that much of an hurtful puncher. You know, you're going rounds him. They're not the same fighters once they've been in with him, are they?
No, man, no. He's like what, he's 38, turning 39, or maybe he is 39. I think likely because obviously, look, he's getting on and he has had a lot of injuries recently. I know the one with the tooth was a bit weird, but he is getting on. But at the same time, we've talked about it extensively. Those lads keep themselves in ridiculous shape, and they have done for the last 20 years. They have money in the bank with their body.
Yeah.
So I would fancy Beterbiev to have another probably 18 months, maybe at the top. If this injury hasn't butchered him up too much this time, because I think he tore his meniscus. And I've put my meniscus out before. Very, very sore, and kind of it's not something you can kind of rush back from, a meniscus injury. So look, I hope he's the same man, but Aki's brilliant, man. I mean, he's just all of his fights, but even going back to watch that Callum Smith fight, I thought Callum Smith was well overmatched, but just the way Beterbiev kind of stalks you down and just never gives you a second. Like you could see a point, I think it was in the 5th round against Smith, where you could kind of see it in Smith's face, where he was like, I've tried to change styles 3 times in this fight and nothing works. Do you know what I mean? I just can't put a dent in this fella. So I see him being king of the throne. I see him beating Bivol, maybe having one more, maybe retiring, but I think he goes 17-0 with 17 knockouts if he does fight Dmitry Bivol.
Yeah, he's the man, Beterbiev, even though he ain't got all the belts. It's always politics, that, isn't it, Adam? What's your take on all that? You know, with
Yeah,
there's always a problem getting that last fight of a line into that undisputed.
there is. There absolutely is. But I think I think the heavyweight undisputed now being settled, I think this might be the straw that breaks the camel's back in a good way. Like, I think obviously there's going to be, there's certain guys that get into boxing for the legacy. A lot of guys get into boxing for the legacy, more than get in it for the money. So to a lot of guys, regardless of whether they're a featherweight, light heavyweight, heavyweight, doesn't really matter. They're going to want to unify the division. But I think the last two big unifications were obviously Crawford Spence, and that got resolved. It was Usyk Fury, that just got resolved. I think, man, there might be a bit of a change in perspective after Bivol and Beterbiev fight, where this past generation, all the big fights, not all the big fights, but the big fights have happened. People have unified the belts broke up, and then I think there'll be less importance put on them moving forward. Because like you say, we're getting to a point now where people have gotten used to how easy things are to put together under the Saudi. Now, I don't think that'll be forever, but we can just see fights are just happening all the time, and I think people are getting a taste for that. So now in the future, people are going to be like, why are people holding out for a year to wait to unify the four belts? Or, I think you'll see more fighters dropping belts, and I think there'll be less onus put on that, man. I really, really do. Because it just causes delays, hassle, negotiations. You think what you want about Ryan Garcia and or Tank Davis, but I think their fight coming together was a good moment in, it was a super fight, yet none of the belts were at stake. So I think the belts are becoming less important to the casuals, and then I think hardcores just want to see good fights. So yeah, mate, I think they're less important by the day.
Yeah, and you know what? If the belt people, they seem to be bending over backwards more than ever now to promoters, don't they?
Yeah,
because they know, hey, listen, this guy here can turn our lights out. This Turkey guy, at any time, it can turn on its head. This can't it?
It can. Like, you've seen, Big Suleiman's been a lot more kind of big time, But like I say too, that's a good thing. Like, regardless of whether you're on board with the Saudi project or not, even if you're against it, I think in most things in life there's always a silver lining, and I think the silver lining out of this is that people are putting less importance on the belts and the organizations. And I think people are kind of seeing it for what it is. Like, even Earl Spence, before, when they were doing the pressers around America, they were asking him, and he was just kind of like, where is the sanctioning fees going? He's like, me and Crawford are going to fight for these four belts. We're going to give, whatever it comes out as total, 10, 11, 12% for the four belts. We're going to give 12% of the purse away. And fighters are just kind of like, where's this money going? I know the Suleiman and whoever, they'll give you nice, like, political answers. Well, we're putting money into grassroots boxing. I think it's all a load of crap, if I'm honest. I think a lot of this money is getting pocketed, and I think big level fighters are now kind of seeing it that way, where it's like, I don't need the WBC on board if I've got Turkey Al Sheikh on board. So yeah, it's a rough period for the sanctioning bodies, and so it should be, man. A lot of them have made a lot of mistakes over the years and screwed people over. So maybe it's time they got some of their own medicine.
This Turkey guy could easily put the lights out and get everybody to sign up to him, couldn't he, really?
Oh, 100%. I mean, again, love the project or not. Turkey's making moves. You can't deny the foot of that.
Put all professional boxers on a wage and make sure they get a pension and all that. That'd be good, wouldn't it?
Oh, that'd be brilliant. That'd be brilliant. I mean, that's honestly, pension and aftercare. That's where I would start with fighters. All sports corporations, the NFL, the NBA, all that, like, in a lot of ways, and in some ways they're all corrupt. But if you look at the NBA, they've got an unbelievable pension scheme. Like, a friend, basically, I know somebody that's in contact with a I say ex-pro NBA player. He was really good. He had injuries, all the rest. So basically, his career went to shit, and it was kind of not his fault. Like I say, injuries and all the rest compounding. And I was kind of thinking about that from the boxing perspective. I was like, he's probably broken all the rest, but they were saying, he's got a great pension plan, medical insurance, all the rest. So even though his career got cut short unfairly, he's not left out in the dark. Whereas you look in boxing, I mean, if you have a loss or two, or you have a cruciate injury or all the rest, you're on your own. Nobody wants anything to do with you. So that's horrible, man. In a sport so vicious, and where lads give so much, lads and ladies give so much in terms of their health, mental health, not seeing their families and stuff, they shouldn't be thrown out the back door, whenever they're perceived as washed up. So yeah, we definitely need something, pal, in terms of pension and just looking after the fighters.
What did you reckon to Ray Ford against Nick Ball then? You reckon the right man won?
Yes. I thought I liked what Ford was doing early. I thought he was working to the body nicely, and I think he knew and his team knew that Nick Ball, he comes down the stretch very, very strong. We saw what he did against Vargas. So I think they were kind of targeting the body. Obviously, look, just to do damage, but I think they were kind of planning or hoping to slow him down later in the fight. Same as I said for Richards, I like Ford. I mean, I think he's a nice puncher. He's got good sharp punches, but there just wasn't enough of it. And Nick Ball came on well. I had it 7-5, two judges had it 115, 113 to Ball. That's exactly how I had it. Close fight.
7-5, I had it Ball.
Exactly. Yeah, exact same. Ford had his moments, like I said. It was either the 5th or the 6th. I think it was the 6th. He landed that big shot, and I think that kind of it slowed down Ball for about 2 or 3 rounds. But he finished very, very well, did Ball, and I was happy for him. Like, I was kind of sitting there thinking after the fight, I was like, "Geez, man, this is close." Can you imagine if he didn't win another world title, if he had back-to-back draws? Would have been a bit of a travesty. And I'm not just saying I thought he won because he had a draw last time. I genuinely thought he won. I think 8-4 is too wide. I think it was a clear 7-5. So happy for Ball, and I like his energy afterwards, where he's just like, I want to get back in there with Vargas, and I want to unify 2 belts. So fair play to him. Very, very good watch. A lot of heart, a lot of bottle, good chin, good fighter. I like Nick Ball.
Yeah, I'm glad he's a world champion now as well.
Yeah, he deserves it, man. He deserves it. Over the 2 fights, he definitely deserves a belt. And like I say, I'm not just saying he won because he had the draw. I actually watched the Vargas fight back early last week. Now, originally, I didn't have many problems with the draw, just because I thought it was a close fight. But watching it back, I had Ball won by a point or 2. So I think he was quite hard done by in the Vargas fight.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. So I'm happy for him. And like I say, he's just very, very, very exciting fighter. I hope he can stay at this division. Obviously, look, he's generally the smaller man at 126. So I'm hoping he can do some damage here. And not to put, look, he just became world champion. I'm not being too negative. I'm just saying for the size and stature, past 130, I don't know size-wise how you would fare. Like, let's say 135. Do you know what I mean? Maybe he can go up through them, but either way, great win for him. He's arguably the most exciting fighter at 126. Brilliant watch. So let's go, Nick Ball.
Yeah, Bowley. Team Ball.
Team Ball, absolutely.
Hey, what about Amzad Shiras? He's making some big noise, isn't he?
He's an absolute operator, to be honest. I thought, when he beat Williams, I didn't think that was near the best version of Williams. Obviously, look, he was getting on, but there was a lot of talk after that.
Where was his ammo?
What's that?
Where was his ammo?
No,
ammo Williams, ammunition man, isn't he?
Yeah, that's it. No, but sure. Sorry, I was on about last time out when he fought Liam Williams. Do you remember he got the knockout in the first round? It was kind of like
you're on about Shiraz.
Yeah, I just thought then, they were talking like, even Warren after that fight, he was in the ring saying, oh, he reminds me of Tommy Hearns. I thought there was kind of excess pressure being put on him. But I thought he looked unbelievable there against Amo Williams at the weekend. He's just a big, like even at 160, man, he's so big and he's got big long arms. He's got good ring IQ as well. I know that's a bit of a cliche, but they talk about ring generalship. Like just in terms of kind of moving the fight where he wanted to move it. Thought it was like a systematic breakdown or beatdown. And I was kind of happy it got stopped, to be honest. I didn't really see a way that Amo Williams could go back in and win it. And I think the ref kind of saved him from more damage. Good stoppage. Really, really, really good performance from Shiras. Obviously, look, the naysayers are going to say, oh, Amo Williams was never that good. And, Eddie Hearn signed him because of this and that and stuff. That might be true, but two things can be true at the same time. I think Shiraz is looking brilliant, and the only way is up. Do you think, man, talking about Shiraz, do you think Frank Warren will put him in with Janabek next, or do you think they'll avoid that?
What about Eubank?
Yeah, no, I know that's been the talk. And I know the Eubank fight will definitely make more money for him. But if we're talking about belts and legacy, all the rest, obviously there's no real discussion. It's the Janabek fight. I mean, he's a champion in the IBF and the WBO. People are saying he's the boogeyman of of middleweight, which I don't disagree with what we've seen so far. So if we're talking about what I would like to see next, let's put money to the side. I would love to see Shiraz and against Janabek. I know it's a high risk fight, but when you have the likes of a lot of Warrens, not a lot, but you have the likes of Fury, you have a lot of guys in Warren's stable that are kind of coming close to the end. If you put Shiraz in against Janabek and he wins, you've created a superstar overnight. You beat the boogeyman, did it early in his career, and I think then he would kind of, if he could beat Janabek, I think he could go on to kind of hold that division for a while. But if we're talking about money in a British fight, Eubank Jr. is the option. But I think that'll be a rough night for Eubank Jr. Very, very rough night. I think he gets stopped.
What about Billy Joe?
Yeah, for Shiraz or just in general?
Billy Joe and Eubank.
I think it's the only fight, not the only fight for Billy Joe coming back. I don't think there's going to be a lot of fanfare for Billy Joe coming back. I'm not saying that just to be a hater or dig him out. I just think too much time has passed. And it's not like Billy Joe was ever a knockout merchant either, and he was just stopping people for fun. So I think too much time has gone past for his style. So I don't know kind of what moves the needle for him. But if there is a comeback fight for him and there's going to be any kind of hunger around it, I would say it's Chris Eubank Jr. And I think Eubank Jr. would take that fight as well, because obviously it would sell. Two boys are brilliant talkers. The press conferences would be hilarious. It would sell well, all over, or sell okay. You know what I mean? It's kind of an end of the road fight, but I think it's a fight that Eubank Jr. I think Eubank Jr. will fancy himself more now than he would have the first time he fought Billy Joe. So, yeah. Most people are going to watch most things, mate. You know this when it comes to boxing, at least for I'm speaking for myself. Like, there's not much I wouldn't watch. But I don't think it would be a mega fight, Eubank Jr. and Saunders. Definitely not.
No.
No. I mean,
You think that curtain's passed?
A wee bit. I think it works for all parties. Like I said, I think Eubank would see it as a more winnable fight than the first time. I think Billy Joe would see it definitely as a winnable fight. He has won over him already. And then, whoever Billy Joe teams up with, if you're his promoter, you're going to want him to come back with a bang, because there's a good chance, like if it doesn't go well for Billy, or even if it does go well, there's a good chance he comes back and it's one and done. So if you are going to represent them, you're going to want to make a big pound note the first fight back. So I don't think they're going to kind of he might have one warm-up fight maybe, but I think they're going to try and get moving with Billy quick if he does come back. But it's sure, he's been saying it's confirmed for the last 2 years and there's still no word about it, right? Like it's, who knows with Billy Joe?
Over for a year out of the ring.
Yeah, long time, mate. And then, like I say, his style, Billy Joe's, was obviously boxing heavy. He relied a lot on his reactions and his ability to kind of move in the ring. You're out for 3 years, man. I would worry down at 160, 168, even if he comes back at 175. I would worry about the legs and the reaction time coming back after that layoff. And plus, too, I mean, we look at 175. If he did come back and move in there, he's never fought at the weight. And, you're going in there, even domestically, there's some big punchers. Like if he did come back at 175, like, Anthony Yard could knock out Billy Joe, I think. I'm not saying for a second he's a better boxer than him, but he punches hard, does Yard. And you have Billy Joe coming off the couch after 3 years. So then if you do move up, you go into that territory of, all right, I could get stopped. You know what I mean? And, he busted that orbital bone against Canelo. I don't know, mate. I don't know if he has a stomach for it. I just think he would have came back quicker. I know he needed recovery time. It was a rough injury, but I just think he would have been back by now if he had any real stomach for it. So, I don't know about Billy Joe. I don't foresee the future being too kind to him in the sport.
You think people like Billy Joe and Eubank and Ben have now put themselves in this half a foot in the gimmick fight era? Are they more bothered about pound notes than legacy?
I would have to say yes. I think the answer is yes, but I think it's all for different reasons. I think, Conor Benn talked about, I want the belts, I want legacy, I want to fight King Kong, I want to fight everybody. Pardon me. But obviously with what's transpired with, the drug cheat scandal, now all those dreams are kind of dashed. And like we talked about before, it looks like his power is gone and all the rest. So I think Ben has kind of become that gimmick fighter, or he will be because of the scandal. I think Billy Joe, because of the inactivity, you know what I mean? And just for me, the lack of hunger, because he hasn't got back into the ring yet. And I think Eubank Jr., I think he's kind of in the middle where I'm not saying he's always been a gimmick fighter. That's way too harsh. But I think he's always kind of seen himself for what he is in terms of, obviously he has that last name. When he was fighting at 160, he could punch decently hard. He always kept himself in really, really, really good shape. He took hard fights. I say he took, obviously recently he's been inactive. So I think Eubank Jr. has kind of played into that, if you want to call it gimmick role, for most of his career, with some of his trash talk and the KFC jacket and all the rest. And I think he's done very well out of it. I mean, he's made a lot of money. I don't know the exact figures, but I feel like compared to Ben and probably Billy Joe, if you take away the Canelo fight for Billy Joe, I don't know how much money Billy Joe's made out of his career. I would highly doubt, I would say if you took away that Canelo payday for the rest of their careers, I would say Eubank Jr.'s made a lot more money. So, yeah, I think they all fall into the category, man, but the only man I think's done it half right has been Eubank Jr.,
Yeah, he's done well, Eubank Jr., to say he's been like a very inactive fighter, hasn't he?
Yeah. No, recently, absolutely, the last 3-4 years, I mean, very, very, very inactive. When he was coming up, obviously, he was fighting lower competition and he was getting fights in. But that's what I'm saying now. Like, I think, look, if he was in it for the legacy and the belts and all the rest, he would have kept himself more active. I think Eubank Jr. has a lot of self-awareness, and I think he knows where he is now in terms of his boxing skill, in terms of his marketability and all that. So I think at this point he's kind of he's waiting out for the paydays, and that's not right or wrong. I mean, it's their career, but Yeah, I think Eubank Jr.'s done very well for himself. Like with the skill that he's got compared to the money that he's made, I think he's done very, very well, and I give him credit for it. You know, he's played the game very, very well.
Yeah, he's played a blinder, hasn't he, really, with this sullen character that's now all of a sudden he's like this fucking Robin Hood guy, isn't he?
He is, yeah. Like I think he's
this wronged fighter and
yeah. I think he's
isn't it?
completely, mate. I think his banter's funny too. Like I know he's not everybody's cup of tea, but like I say, I think he plays the cards he needs to play when he needs to play them. And you can't say that for all boxers. Definitely not. So no, he's done well. He's done well, and he will continue to do well. You know what I mean? So for however long he fights. Do you want to jump on the second link, man?
Yeah, we'll jump on to part 2 where we'll talk about the heavyweights and what next and blah de blah. For those of you who haven't subscribed to our sister channel, Porky's International YouTube, thanks for liking and subscribing and watching our stuff on there about other sports and other stuff we've got coming up. Okie dokie. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Leave a comment in the comments section. Let me know what you think to part 1 with Adam from San Francisco. Pop, pop, bang. Am I fine for watching me from the moon? Pop, pop, bang!
Do you remember the old man in the loft?
Yes.
The leper?
Yeah.
I'm him.